Good morning and welcome everyone here in this wonderful room in the center of Brussels. I also welcome all our guests that are connected to us through internet. Welcome also. I will try to speak a little slower than I'm used to, because on the digital side of this meeting, a number of people, attendants, will have translation of what I bring. So I hope that other speakers also can try this, speak a little bit slower so the translation goes fluently. Panathlon International is very happy to welcome you all here today with our friends of ENGSO and of the European Lotteries in this European Week of Sport. Already, I think, maybe not yet a decade, but 8 or 9 years ago, Panathlon International made a partnership with the European Week of Sport, at the time with Commissioner Navracic. And today we have this event to promote the healthy lifestyle for everybody through sport as a way of life. I welcome Mr. Mario Zacchetti from the European Commission Directorate General Education, Culture and Sport, representing the European Week of Sport authorities. Thank you for your presence and for your support in the actions that we take with Panathlon for promotion of the sport in general. We also have with us today Marie Dennyton from ENGSO, and as a partner I would like to give you the moment to welcome everybody also. Marie, please.
Thank you. We are very happy that we today will be able to showcase our project, the Young Integrity Ambassadors Program, initiated together with European Lotteries and implemented thanks to the Swedish Sports Confederation, RF, and all our fantastic partners in the project. As we all know, is integrity a crucial aspect in sport? If we want to include and involve more people in sport and push our citizens to be more active, as the European Week of Sport is promoting, we have to keep our sport environment clean, safe, fair, and value-centered. Therefore, we decided to give the power to our youth to start a process of change. Give them the possibility to become ambassadors of integrity in sport. Thanks to this project, we have activated a network of young ambassadors in Europe, a network that goes beyond the countries in the involved project partners, and we are particularly happy about this. The young people who participate in the training were very active already from the beginning, first with the planning and then carrying out activities that aroused the interest of the local participants. And they did not hesitate at all when we invited them to come to Brussels for this day. Many participants are now ready for a possible level 2 of this integrity project, and various local actions are still happening but will end at the end of October, and my colleague Tiago will tell you more about this a bit later. This project was also an excellent possibility for us to start cooperating with Panathlon International, and we are very proud to be able to have you all here for our annual European Week of Sport event, shared with Panathlon International for the first time, and as usual with European Lotteries. Soon you will have the privilege of meeting some of our young participants. So I would also like to say once again, welcome. Thanks for being here, and I hope that this event will be an occasion also for you to learn more about youth and integrity. We all know the power of young people, but we need to give them the possibilities, the support, and last but not least, the trust. Thank you.
So good morning everybody, and thank you for being here. Thank you to Panathlon and all the partners of this project. This happens in the course of the 9th edition of the European Week of Sport, which has been opened in Valencia last Saturday. And I'm really happy that next year it will be the turn of Belgium to officially launch the European Week of Sport, as we will be under the Belgian presidency of the Council. Well, you know what the European Week of Sport is about. It's basically a way to communicate to all our European citizens the importance of sport, the importance of physical activity and healthy lifestyle, not only for our physical health, but also for our spiritual, moral health. I think, during the years of the pandemic, the importance of sport was stressed more and more, and hopefully in the next years we will see the rates of the European citizens involved in sport and physical activity growing up. In particular, Panathlon deals with, and this project deals with integrity, which is fundamental. It's, I would say, is the primary dimension of sport. Integrity can be declined in many different ways. It can be, we can talk about integrity for elite sport, but also for grassroots sport and for everyday sport. I think integrity will be at the top of the political agenda for the next years, for the next EU work plan for sport. So I think this project is extremely timely, and well, I'm really curious to learn from you about it, and I thank you again, Paul and Panathlon, for this invitation. Thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Sacchetti. Thank you so much. We have now an exceptional moment because sometimes sport is more than a role model. It's something exceptional.
I have a story of sportsman spirit for you, one that may give you a lesson on teamwork. It is about a Belgian athlete who stepped forward for her country, quite literally. Meet Julienne Bonquot. Under normal circumstances, she is shot put and hammer throw champion. She was at the European Championships in Poland, and outside her event, 100-meter hurdles race was going on, but there was nobody to represent Belgium. Well-known hurdlers Anne Zagre and Han Claes were to run in the race, but both of them had to pull out due to injuries. If nobody would participate in the race, Belgium would have been disqualified. And that is when Bonquot stepped in and took one for the team. Smiling through it all, she carefully attempted each hurdle. 13 seconds into the race, Spanish sprinter Teresa had already crossed the finish line, but did that stop Bonquot from going on? It did not. 19 seconds later, without knocking any of the hurdles down, the 29-year-old athlete finished the race. She was applauded by the audience and congratulated by her rivals. You see, points are awarded for every competitor and event at the European Championships. So not only did she save Belgium from disqualification, she also added 2 points to her country's tally by competing. Now, these points should not be taken lightly. They could, in fact, make all the difference, as the bottom 3 countries will be relegated from Division 1. Bonkwo may not have won the race, but she did win the hearts of netizens. I have a story of sportsman spirit for you.
Okay, congratulations, Jolien. I now invite international board member of Panathlon, Patrick van Kampenhout. He is also administrator of the Belgian Olympic Committee. Patrick, I give you the word.
Okay. Dear Chairman, dear guests, dear colleagues, first of all, I wish to thank Panathlon EU Brussels for inviting me in this event. Today we are honoring a special lady, Jolien Bonkwo. Ik hoop dat ik het juist uitspreek. Who did a very special spontaneous action during athletic meet in Poland, as we just witnessed. Without realizing it, she went viral when her participation in a discipline where she made a collegiate substitution to help her colleagues. This act was also noticed by Panathlon International. And we confirm that this completed meets Panathlon values. An act of solidarity, compassion, and collegiality. This can certainly be called. A huge congratulations to Jolien Bonkwo for her exemplary behavior and collegiality. In the name of Panathlon International, I bestow a very beautiful bouquet of flowers on you and wish you a healthy, prosperous, and successful career. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much for the honor. For me, it was nothing really special to do because there was no one else who wanted to do it, and it would be a pity if Belgium would have lost without those 2 points. Unluckily, we are going to the second division, but it was worth it, and I hope I can inspire a lot of people that, yeah, no matter what, you just need to try to see where it goes. So that's a big lesson for me, and I hope for everyone.
Well, good morning, everyone. My name is Tiago Guilherme. I'm Project and Policy Manager at Hangzhou Youth, the youth body of Hangzhou, and I'm very happy to be here to present to all of you, and also at home, one of the good practices that we believe we have in terms of sport, youth, and sports integrity. This is the HIAP project. HIAP stands for Youth Integrity Ambassadors Program. I'll be speaking a little bit slow because, as Paul rightly mentioned, we have on-site translation right now at this event, so please bear with me. Please, for the next slide. So a little bit of context first, how this project started to be idealized, to be spoken and created and further developed. Across our conversations at national, European level with several sports stakeholders and partners, we identified two major needs. The first one will be the need for more youth participation. And with this, I don't mean that there's a lack of youth participation in sports. Actually, if we look at two specific Eurobarometers, the recent Eurobarometer on youth participation, we can see that actually sports clubs are the main space where young people choose to participate in the society. Okay. If we look at the second Eurobarometer on sports and physical activity, recently launched last year, we see that the young segment of our population is actually the most active within sports clubs. Therefore, this need for more youth participation is actually giving the sense of agency towards young people, so they can actually be included within the decision-making process and also within the programs and projects that we implement. Additionally, we also identified a crucial and key policy objective at European level, which is the need to address and tackle the topic of integrity and value-based sports. Adding to this and building on this need to speak about the topic, there's also the need to awareness raising towards the topic of sports integrity, and as well sharing best practices among sports clubs, among sports organizations. Lastly, but not the least, we identified as well, together with this, the need of having sports as a crucial framework to, within this social, within this educational dimension, to act as a crucial leverage for more social, more learning skills, and also to promote crucial values, crucial European values shared amongst all of us: tolerance, solidarity, fair play, but also inclusiveness, okay? And building on these two concepts of youth participation and the need to tackle and address sports integrity, we wanted to not only capacitate young people to have the necessary skills and competences, but also to give them the floor so they can tackle this, the issue of sports integrity from a bottom-up approach. Okay, so on a first basis, we would give the necessary tools and provide and equip young people with the skills they need, so then they could take action within their local level. And of course, here we can see the theme of youth participation has been around the European arena for years now, and is also one of the main priorities of the EU Youth Strategy. And on the other hand, sports integrity was already here mentioned, is one of the key policy priorities within the EU Work Plan for Sport. Additionally, we also identified, adding on the several Eurobarometers that I already mentioned, we have the example of the Swedish Sports Confederation, the leading organization in this project, with two research, one on youth and participation and another one on youth and sport, that actually as well identified the need to address these both issues. If we have in mind, for instance, the European Parliament Youth Survey from 2021, we can also see that young people want to be included, but as well want to be the main driving force within this decision-making process and within these projects. And I'll kindly ask to switch for the next slide, please. So we started to putting all of this together and designed this project having in mind this context and these specific objectives. So one of the biggest objectives of the project will be on a first basis to develop the competences of young people, okay, and to train them to, on one hand, make them aware of dishonest practices that might happen in sport, and how to tackle this to address sports integrity, okay? But on the other hand, and this will allow them to implement their local activities, to have the necessary management skills, the necessary leadership skills and inclusion skills to be able to implement these projects within their local realities. And of course, heading on to this, we'll be having and creating a very strong education program that will accompany and help the young people across this process. Another objective with all of this would be we are creating a network of young ambassadors that will serve to disseminate the need to address the theme of sports integrity around the national and local realities, but a network of young ambassadors that are also capable to further train and equip other young ambassadors. So it doesn't stop here. So we make sure there's actually a continuity even after the lifespan of the project. And of course, lastly, to stimulate youth participation, but youth participation in an inclusive manner. So including young people with or without intellectual disabilities. And I will come to this topic later. So next slide, please. So, wrapping all of this together, we started building the YAP project for a duration of 24 months. Having in mind, first, the project management and communication, and of course, the need to have across the full 24 months of the project, not only the project management and communication, but also the monitoring, the evaluation, and learning, okay? On the first months, we started to, we'll be having the collection of expertise and on youth participation and sports integrity, so we can be able to start designing the curriculum, start designing the education program, so we can equip our young ambassadors. then we'll be having, based on the curriculum, we'll have a training course that I will address later at this presentation. But this training course had in mind all the necessary skills that the young ambassadors need to have to implement, to understand the topic of sports integrity, but also to implement and conduct the projects and their local activities. This will be included in the dissemination by the youth integrity ambassadors, and finally we'll have the final evaluation and European conference, which is foreseen for February next year in Sweden. So, next slide, please. So, putting all this together, the YAP project was born. Of course, we need to have in mind that this project needed to have a multi-level approach. So, we have put together a group of partners that will allow us to have a European level, a national level, but also a local level. So we have, for instance, the Swedish Sports Confederation as the leading organization of the project. Then we have European Lotteries as supportive partner. We have ENGSO Youth as the voice of grassroots sports around Europe. And we also have, at the European level, we have EUSA, the European University Sports Association, and also Special Olympics Europe, Eurasia. Then we launched a consultation amongst our network of partners and other sports stakeholders in order to try to understand the organizations that already are tackling these topics of youth participation and sports integrity, and then the ones that would also like to and are motivated to further develop this topic. And with this came OPES Italia, the Portuguese Sports Confederation, the Lithuanian Sports Confederation, and you can see there as well RF Smallland, which tackles the local level within the project. Next slide, please. So therefore, we put together all of this, and we started actually to design the curriculum, to then further implement a training course. How this happened? About 1 year ago, all the project partners met here in Brussels, and we started to design and put together this compendium of good practices and examples towards sports integrity. This was put together by the IGZIAC Expert Committee. IGZIAC stands for Youth and Sport Integrity Expert Committee. This expert committee is composed by 2 people from each organization, from each partner organization, meaning 1 youth worker or youth researcher and 1 young person. The young person here is essential, so they can have the sense of agency and they can contribute to the project throughout all the phases. So this was put together, and we start devising the curriculum and the education program. So we can give the young people the necessary skills to learn about sport integrity and then to implement their local activities. And this was put together throughout a 1-week training course that happened in Lisbon. The location of Lisbon was also not by chance. Lisbon has a youth center awarded with the quality level of the Council of Europe, and so we conducted the training course there. So all the small phases of the project have a very distinctive line and a purpose to be implemented. The training course included, of course, first activities for the young ambassadors to get to know each other. We also have had sessions about sports integrity, the concept of sport integrity, how to identify and prevent and act upon dishonest practices that might threaten sports integrity. We also had sessions on inclusion, so to make sure that the local activities of the ambassadors had the necessary inclusion aspect in mind, so not to leave anyone behind. And as well a crucial communications part, because this is also one of the outcomes of the project. That is expected that young people harness the power of digitalization to disseminate the program and have a better outreach of the program. This was put together, and currently we are in the last phases of the young ambassadors to implement their local actions. Some already happened, some are still underway, and we've been having a lot of good views on the project. Actually, we have with us some ambassadors of the app project, and I left here as well a QR code, so you can have a better look about the project, all of the phases, and the expected results as well. I hope that you can manage to scan the QR code through this screen, also through the YouTube streaming, but nevertheless we're happy to share this afterwards with everyone. I will not prolong any longer my presentation, because afterwards, after the short break, we will have the opportunity to go deeper into the local actions that our ambassadors implemented and are implementing, and also we will have a hands to work session where we'll also be working on one of the activities that was implemented in the training course and is being implemented across the local actions. I'll then now leave the floor to Paul, and happy to answer any questions that you might have at a later stage for the Q&A session. Thank you so much.
Thank you. Thank you, Tiago. Sure, this program has the right focus. A lot of sport organizations, the managers and the boards are like me, not that young and white hair. So trying to change something with older people is taking time and a great effort. And we need to be thankful and grateful that young people stand up and come forward and say to these elder people, you need to change some things and you need to work on integrity. And so it's good that this program has the focus on the right age, certainly because when I look around, these youngsters, they are the managers of tomorrow. So if we can already bring them to these insights that integrity is a part of your daily life, if it's sports or it's work or it's school, then we have made a step forward in this topic on integrity management of your life. So I'm very happy also this morning to bring 2 testimonials, because sport is not always fun and joy. It's a lot of pain, it's a lot of effort. Sometimes we see fantastic records being broken. Sometimes you see initiatives that are bringing the world to exaltation, like what Jolien did in Poland. But also it's important that these young athletes come forward and speak about their experience, because what they have passed through, what they have lived in the good and in the less good, it will help us to bring this message to the young ones and say, stand up for your rights. You have rights when you do sports. And if you are not so happy or you think there is things to be changed, come forward. And we as organizations, as sports directors, we need to listen and we need to give them the forum, and we need to help them to bring the message. As first, I am very happy to introduce Miss Laura Wam, former Olympic gymnast. Laura, the floor is yours. Thank you.
Good morning, everyone. First of all, I would like to wish all guests present here today a warm welcome. It is an honor for me to have been asked to share my views on integrity in sports with you, and it fills me with immense joy that you are present in such numbers today. In the next 15 minutes, I will introduce myself to you, explain who I am and what brought me here today. I will then elaborate on my career in sports and briefly talk about which projects I'm currently involved in. I will also discuss the risks in sports in terms of care for physical and mental health and the importance of integrity and ethics in sport. To conclude, I will talk about the relevance of implementing a stricter integrity policy within sport federations. I am Laura Wam, 26 years old, and I'm a former Olympic gymnast. I have represented Belgium while participating in several European and World Championships in women's artistic gymnastics. An absolute highlight of my career was my participation in the 2016 Olympics in Rio de Janeiro as a member of the Belgian women's team. For the first time since 1948, a Belgian women's team was qualified to go to the Games again. My sports adventure began at a tender age of just 2.5 years when I joined the local gymnastics club Sportiva in Sint-Gilles-Waas as a toddler because my sister Lien was doing their gymnastics as well. Soon after, I got noticed for my talent and I joined the gymnastics selection group where the focus was on a higher training intensity and participation in competitions at the highest club level. Towards the end of the 3rd grade, I must have been 9 years old, I was faced with an important choice. Go to a school in another city further away that had an elite sports program for gymnastics, or decide not to change, realizing that it was very likely that I was not going to get that opportunity again. Contrary to my family's expectations, I went for the first option. Once there, in one of the regional gymnastic clubs of Flanders, I followed an intensive, well-structured and high-level gymnastics program for pupils from the 4th to the 6th grade to prepare for possible admission to the elite sports school in Ghent. As I was practicing, my skills continued to develop, and from the 1st grade, at the age of 12, I was admitted to the elite sports school in Ghent. This marked a new phase in my life that came with compulsory boarding school and a new school environment away from my family. Despite these drastic changes, at a young age, I quickly felt at home. School has always been a kind of relaxation for me, not in the sense of I don't need to study or work hard, but it was a way for me to be able to mentally disconnect from the gym for a while. I finished secondary school at Voskenslaan in Ghent and graduated in 2015 with a degree in Sciences and Top Sport. The tough training schedule with around 32 hours of gymnastics per week regularly took its toll on my body. I got injured several times during my gymnastics career. However, I was very dedicated to achieve my goals, and with the right medical support, I always got back to my best level at the most important competitions. After a successful career of 11 years in an elite sports structure, I decided to retire from elite gymnastics in December 2017 to focus on my studies. In June 2022, I graduated as a pharmacist in a Master of Science in Drug Development at the University of Ghent. Since I have been working as a pharmacist. Next to that, I am actively involved in several sports-related organizations. For example, I am fulfilling a 4-year mandate as Vice Chairman of the Athletes Commission of the Belgian Olympic and Interfederal Committee, and I'm also a board member at the Flemish Centre for Ethics in Sports, a policy support and practice development organization in the field of ethics in sports. I am committed to this organization because sport has always played a central role in my life, because I have been striving to create, but also because I have been striving to create a healthy and ethical sports climate within my own sports discipline since 2020. Practicing sports is fun and healthy as long as it can be done in a safe and ethical way, which also puts the athlete first. The relevance of ethics came into focus in gymnastics worldwide in 2020. What initially started in America was that testimonies of alarming cases of abusive behavior in gymnastics surfaced. I was deeply impacted personally, as I, like many other gymnasts, unfortunately also witnessed unethical behavior within the walls of the Elite Gymnastics Hall in Ghent. Inspired by this movement, some other victims and myself decided to speak up about our own experiences as well. Following our testimonies and thanks to the help of the Minister of Sports, an independent investigation commission was set up to investigate the Belgian testimonies about psychological abuse. The commission published a public report of 73 pages in March 2021. And the report concluded the following. There is clear evidence of psychological abusive behavior by several coaches with lasting impact on some of the gymnasts. The federation was aware and did not take sufficient action to remedy this. The gymnasts felt they had no place to go, performance pressure took priority over the athletes' welfare, and the attitude of the head coaches made recovery difficult. The results of the independent investigation were taken seriously by the Gymnastics Federation for the first time at that time. With this conclusion on paper, there was no more way out for the Federation. The report was actually a powerful signal both for the victims and for the Belgian sports world, which made it clear that abusive behavior in sport is absolutely unacceptable. Unfortunately, the investigation committee had no disciplinary or sanctioning role. Their role was purely advisory, and therefore only 13 recommendations were formulated to the Gymnastics Federation in the committee's final report. These recommendations were meant to contribute to a policy within the Federation that would prioritize healthy development during the pursuit of elite sporting performance. Despite these complaints, and the report confirming the allegations around psychologically abusive behavior, the Gymnastics Federation still decided to keep the coaches in question. This was another hard blow for the many victims. It is often said that sports should be fun and healthy. However, the risks are increasingly coming to the forefront, including when it comes to high-level sports practiced by minors, which ties in with my personal story. It is important to take into account that the latter group has different social, emotional, and physical needs that may vary depending on the stage of life each individual is in, just like any other child of that age who does not practice sports at a high level. As mentioned in the report of the Belgian Independent Gymnastics Commission, there are several common risk factors within sport. These findings are based on the 2016 International Olympic Committee Consensus Statement, which is an extension of the 2007 EOC Consensus Statement on Sexual Harassment and Abuse in Sport. This more recent consensus statement presents additional evidence of various other forms of harassment and abuse, whether psychological, physical, or neglect. Moreover, it pays special attention to specific risks faced by young athletes. And now I would like to take this opportunity to discuss 4 risk factors that were identified in this report and that I have also personally encountered. To begin with, there is often a power imbalance. This means that the coach has power over the athlete, but also over the athlete's parents. In addition, prioritizing performance and winning over the well-being of the athlete is seen as a major risk factor in sport. In elite sports, performance, success, and winning are often the main objectives, regularly at the expense of the athlete's health and well-being. This can lead to competitive pressure, athlete tolerance for abusive behavior by coaches, and the fostering of an attitude in underage athletes in which performance is considered more important than their own well-being. An unbalanced life also makes the elite athlete especially vulnerable. This includes the many sacrifices that are required and the fact that their life and identity often revolve entirely around their performance, as well as isolation from other interests and social connections with people outside of the sports environment. Finally, there is the influence of the elite sports culture that is often focusing on issues such as athlete weight, the high tolerance for physical violence in certain sports, as pain is often seen as part of the process, and approaching the athlete as a mechanical model to be optimized rather than as an individual with their own needs and well-being. While I believe there are numerous benefits to sports, and I personally am grateful for the opportunities I have been given to play my sport at a high level, I believe that there needs to be more awareness of the potential risks related to it. Solutions need to be provided, and it is crucial to create a healthy and safe environment where the well-being of the athlete should always be priority. Having knowledge of the potential risks within sports is an important first step. The next essential stage is to implement a stricter integrity framework for sports federations. This framework should serve as the cornerstone of sports practice, focusing on ensuring physical and psychological integrity, as well as social responsibility and social well-being of each athlete. An integrity framework within a federation can include several elements. Based on my personal experience, I highlight 8 key elements that are indispensable to ensure the practice of sport with integrity. To start with, it is essential to create an independent point where complaints can be reported, with an integrity point of contact that is appointed by sports clubs or sport federations. This provides a safe space where affected individuals can confidentially report abuse and misconduct without fear of retaliation. In addition, establishing clear codes of conduct and ethics for everyone involved in a sports federation is important, from athletes to coaches, from administrators to volunteers. These codes should promote ethical behavior and set standards for the entire sports community. Federations need to ensure that these codes are strictly adhered to by all stakeholders and that non-compliance should carry consequences to correct the wrongdoing. Next to that, establishing protocols for action is also very important. These protocols should provide a clear roadmap to be followed within the sports federation when physical, psychological, or sexual abusive behavior is suspected or identified. Education and awareness regarding ethics should be also an integral part of the integrity framework, which applies to athletes, coaches, and other stakeholders. In-depth screening of and continuous evaluation of coaches is, in my opinion, also very crucial, as dealing with athletes is not only about technical aspects, but also about didactic and pedagogical skills. Moreover, providing adequate support and counseling for victims, including access to medical and psychological care, is also key to recovery and justice. Furthermore, sports federations should pay attention to a properly considered exit policy and related aftercare for athletes who have to or chose to leave elite sports. This requires transparent communication with athletes and their parents about the reasons for ending their sports career, rather related to medical, psychological, technical, or biomechanical factors. And finally, the cooperation with other organizations, both national and international, is vital to address and prevent abuse in sport. In sum, it is not enough to just acknowledge the risks related to practicing elite sports. Sports federations must implement an integrity framework to ensure that their disciplines remain a safe, fair, and ethical environment for all involved. They should also ensure that the framework is respected by all involved. And this is essential to ensure the integrity and sustainability of sport and to protect the welfare interests of athletes. The journey I have been on over the past few years has been worth my effort and energy. I'm truly happy that we have found the strength to speak up about the abuse, that we have persisted and are able today to provide critical thinking and feedback on future changes in the ethics of our sport. Therefore, my main message to athletes is that they should not hesitate to speak up when their boundaries are crossed and never tolerate abusive behavior. In addition, encourage and support your teammates too. Speak up when they witness or are involved in incidents of abusive behavior. Only by raising concerns, others can be made aware of them and action can be taken to provide help. Let us thus collectively strive for a sports world where the integrity of athletes and their well-being are at the top of the agenda. Let us actively work for change and improvement so that sports can be a source of joy, growth and health for all. Thank you for your attention.
Thank you, Laura. There will be a question and answer moment after the second testimonial. So thank you for now. Please, Patrick. For the banner. Laura kan niet blijven. Thank you, Laura. Thank you. Thank you, Laura. We have a question and answer moment right after our second testimony. Our second speaker, keynote speaker, is Wannes Vlaming, also a gymnast, world champion gymnast in acrobatic gym, which is a competition that is a lot of good athletes in Belgium, but we are very proud to have one of them and a world champion with us. Interesting, and I hope one is that everybody is well listening, is also that your career was at a very young age. You're still a student at this time, and in acrobatic gymnastic, when you are the partner on top, it's important that you do your competition at the highest level when you are young. But once you become 15, 16, 18 years old, it's a bit difficult to have this top partner on the shoulders, and then your sport is changing. And that's what happened to you. When you get that age, it became difficult to still be on the top in acrobatic gym. So we are very interested also on your testimony, and thank you for coming.
Welcome. I'm Wannes Vlaming, as you already know, and I'm going to share my dedication to the sport of gymnastic. My story began at a very young age, as already mentioned. And when I was 9 years old, I was selected as a promising young talent in artistic gymnastics. I did this for 3 years, after which I got an opportunity in acrobatic gymnastics as a top. I took that opportunity. I did that for 4 years with Ghent as my home base. It was a whole new chapter because it was far from home, and in the final 2 years my career reached unprecedented heights because I had the privilege of competing in a European Championship in Pesaro in 2021. And I also stepped on the world stage with 2 participations in World Championship, one in Geneva in 2021, and later one in Baku in 2022. And as the crowning achievement, I competed in the World Games, which is often regarded to as the Olympics for non-Olympic sports, and they offer rare opportunities for athletes who compete in a sport that is not Olympic, a rare opportunity to shine. This dedication has also resulted into a collection of medals, and I take pride in representing my country at the highest level. But I also have to also thank my teammates, because without them there wasn't a team to compete with. But we have also to consider the choices that young athletes have to make at a young age. At a certain point, they can choose to focus on a career in their sport and try to keep up with their studies, or focus completely on their academic development and relinquish the dream of a world championship. And as someone who has been retired from top-level sports for a year, I can give you the benefits and the disadvantages of both approaches. One of the advantages of pursuing a career in elite sports is that the training facility, school and boarding school are located close to each other, and it facilitates a seamless transition between school training, and that allows for an efficient time use. Additionally, the smaller class sizes in the elite sports program make it so that the teacher can teach very personally, and that can lead to faster progress in the learning process. On the other hand, you're very far away from your home and your family. It can evoke feelings of homesickness, separation from family, friends, and it poses emotional challenges. But when you go for the school, the athletes prioritize their studies and go to school closer to home, and then you are very close to your friends and family. But there are also disadvantages with this approach, like when you go do sport activities, it can be a long travel time, and like for me personally, I'm now doing track and field, polevault, and I need to go like almost a 30-minute drive to go practice my sport. It's it's not like time efficient, so we don't have a lot of time for other spare time activities, and that are the main questions. Thank you for listening.
Thank you, Wannes. Wannes, stay a moment with us if you want. Yes, yes. I had a question for you from Professor Yves van der Noele, who is member of Panathlon and author of the book Joy and Pain in Sport. And I will try to get it here. And his question was: do the sport organizations take into account the decline in performance due to injuries and unexpected traumatic private events? Do they care in how they organize your sport? Or do they say, no, you can no longer be in a sports school because you're now injured? What is your experience in that level?
For me personally, like the first year I went to Ghent, I dislocated my elbow, and it was like the first 3 months, so I didn't have a lot of time to prove myself there. But they said, like, you're very young, you can still develop, and you can go ahead and be here for a long time, and it worked out.
I have a second and the last question. Do you think there is a need for a psychological aftercare when you end your career as a top sports athlete? What is your feeling?
Personally, since I retired, I didn't have the need because I already, it wasn't a brute force stop. We knew from a long time before that we stopped, so I had time to plan and look what I went to do. But when it's like a brute stop, you can have some emotional challenges to process all that information, so it can help when you are supported.
Okay, thank you. I have also got a question for you, Laura. I will bring you the mic. And the question is, with your experience, what do you think are the obstacles in the sports federation to listen earlier and at the just time when difficulties are taking place with young athletes and their coaches?
I think for the first instance, it is important that the athlete itself reports forms of abusive behavior, because otherwise the federation is not aware of it. And in second instance, my opinion is that every federation needs to investigate any report of abuse before already taking a conclusion whether it is or it is not. And I think that are the two most important things. So reporting, and the federation needs to investigate before speaking about something that is right or wrong.
Thank you, Laura. Yes, okay. Are there other questions for our two testimonials? Then, okay, yes, please.
I would like to know more about these boarding schools. How old are you when you start there? Are you being offered a place there, or do you have to apply? Your parents have to apply, or how does that work?
Actually, the boarding school is next to the gymnastics hall in Ghent. So actually, there are a lot of sports included in. It's not only gymnastics, let's say. So the boarding school is mandatory. So I was there from the age of 12. But it differs from sport to sport. Sports gymnastics is very early, so I was there at 12. But some other sports like athletics, they start a bit later. But generally for gymnastics, it is mandatory because it is easier, because the training starts very early at 7:30 in the morning. So then it is only 2 minutes walk, and then you're on the gymnastics hall, let's say. Okay. Yeah.
Was it the same for you, Wannes? Yes. You also started when you were 12 years old at that school?
Yes, I started at 12 years old at the boarding school. it's kind of the same. It's like I also started training at 7:30 in the morning, but yeah, other sports is later. But our bases, they sometimes don't go because they're like already older than 18. Then you go to Ghent Self and you study there.
So you will just meet your parents and friends during the weekends, or? Yeah.
Yes, it's Sunday evening you go there, and Friday evening you go back home.
Okay. Thank you.
I had a little question for all of you, but I think for the athletes who were practicing in Ghent in the top sports school, besides what you have said outside, when you go home you can have again the social life, but did you have a little social life between the athletes? Were there any friends, after training and during training you can be concurrents or opponents, but after training did you have the kind of friendship or a social environment where you felt a little safe?
For me personally, it was like mostly begin in like the gymnastic world itself, and in my class we had like someone who fenced and some cyclists, and like you get some a connection with them because you're with like 10 in a class, so it's like really personal. And then those are like the connection you have because they also stay at the boarding school, and then you're like a whole week with them.
Okay. Thank you.
I didn't do boarding school. I just went to a normal school, let's say, because it's easier to combine with the high school you go to. And then when I was older, when I went to the university, I was able to work with a trainer from the federation, but it's easier to balance track and field with your personal life. But it's also, for me, it was difficult to find like the balance because I saw the importance in doing my study, and sometimes I just wanted to have my degree so badly, so that was difficult to stay focused on the track and field, but it was more like a personal thing than really something that is accepted. But I feel that we are tending to go more to invest in the track and field career and the importance of making the decisions as a top sporter more than before. But I think it's a lot different than the gymnastic world. Yeah.
Yeah, I would like to say that I had some social connections, but mostly it was with other sporters, so people that are doing top sport as well. But we had good connections, and we learned from each other, from the different sports disciplines. So that was very positive. And actually, my teammates as well outside of the gym, we were friends. And still, until today, a few people that were my teammates in that time are still good friends today. So we have like a very good connection, yeah.
Okay, thank you for your testimonials and for your answers on our questions. We will have a short break now. Thank you so much. And in a few minutes we will take back the floor, and we will talk more on the Youth Integrity Ambassadorship Program. And we will be happy to have a talk with our ambassadors here present to speak on this project and what we need and we can do in the next year to come. Thank you. See you in a few minutes.
Test, test.
Test, 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 test. Yeah, now it's working. Okay. Welcome back after a short break. And I hope you all enjoying this event, also online back at home. Now we'll be speaking a little bit more with the main drivers of the Youth Integrity Ambassadors program, which are the ambassadors themselves. Just to mention that this team of ambassadors is composed by 36 ambassadors. So each project partner decided or had a specific call to have these ambassadors based on a defined set of criteria previously defined in order to make sure that we have the young talented ambassadors that could be empowered and implement the local activities. So we have 6 ambassadors from the Portuguese Sports Confederation, 6 ambassadors from the Swedish Sport Confederation, Småland, 6 ambassadors from the Lithuanian Sports Confederation, and we had 9 ambassadors for the Special Olympics. And why 9 ambassadors? Because we have 3 teams of Special Olympics ambassadors, so Hungary, Lithuania, and Austria. So Special Olympics Hungary, Special Olympics Lithuania, and Special Olympics Austria. Each one of these teams is composed by 3 ambassadors, which are composed by 1 young ambassador with intellectual disability, 1 young ambassador without intellectual disability, and 1 mentor. Okay? So we have this to ensure also the inclusion aspect is ensured within the project. So now I'm happy to present the ambassadors that are here with us. First, from the Special Olympics Hungary team, we have Hanna Selle. We have also Sara Horvath, and we have Robert Roche. Straight afterwards, we have Christina Canelli from HEUSA, the European University Sports Association team of ambassadors. And then we have with us also Linnell Agfall from the Swedish Sports Confederation team. I will address 2 questions to our ambassadors, and afterwards we'll be having one hands to work activity where we'll start engaging a bit more and discuss specific cases of sports, and we'll be discussing them if they are fair play or not. So first, Special Olympics Hungary. Can you tell us a little bit more of your experience as an ambassador within the training course? How do you feel as a young ambassador within the training course and also within the local activities?
Okay, so I asked him how he felt going to Lisbon, how was the experience, and he said it was really great to be there and to learn about these things. For me, it was really interesting because I thought that I know a lot of things about integrity, but it turned out that I don't. And there is a lot of new things for me to learn. So it was definitely a new and eventful experience. And for you?
And for me, this is an eye-opener situation, and the whole event is an eye-opening experience for me, because I am working as a special education teacher in Hungary, and I know one side of the inclusive world, but in the whole world, this is a lot of opportunity to meet another country, how to include young or disabled people in or through the sports.
So I also asked Robbie the second question, and he said that for him, how to implement it when we came home, he taught his friends, and also we had some local activities already, and we have one on Saturday and also in the summer. So he taught his friends. I went to the university and taught them. Also, we invited Anna to the freshman camp, and also not just Anna, but Special Olympics Hungary, and they taught the freshmen about their experiences. And also I have friends as well, so I taught them. And we are slowly but surely spreading the word about youth integrity.
And I'm introduced our experience at my school with my colleagues and my professional groups in the school when I work.
Okay.
Thank you so much. Christina, can you tell us a little bit more as well about your experience as an integrity ambassador, how it has been the local activities, and if you've been able to identify any specific issues that need to be tackled within this topic, which issues, and how do you think they can be tackled?
Okay, well, the Youth Integrity Ambassador Program was an amazing opportunity because it gave me, new skills and knowledge on sports integrity. And as they also mentioned before, I thought that I knew sports integrity, but then after this 1 week, it really opened my mind, and it also gave me such an incredible experience to be, a room full of other open-minded youth people where we had the same goal. That we're all motivated and passionate to create a safer environment in sports. So it was really incredible to see that. So in Lisbon, we also had the opportunity to brainstorm our local events. And so when we came back to Slovenia, we had incredible opportunity to have 2 local events. So one was in the May Games, which was a student festival in Slovenia, which is part of the student council held by the university in Ljubljana, the capital. And that gave us a great target group because all of them were part of the university and they were all youths. And then also another local activity, we were part of the Happy Volunteering Day, which was also held in Ljubljana, where we had 50 other organizations having their own stands. So in both local activities, we had a stand promoting the Youth Integrity Ambassador Program, where we had interactive games such as mini basketball and memory games, and that first engaged the people to join, and then we had a lot of questions after to ask and share their opinion on what they think about sports integrity. So we had questions on discrimination, for example, on fair play, and it was really interesting to hear other people's perspectives and to share their own opinions from local level, and then there were a lot of international people as well. What was missing, we feel, was that a lot of people were not aware of sports integrity. I think it's still it still has to be promoted. And so we feel like we did raise awareness. We got a lot of emails and numbers. So our future goal is to engage with these mini ambassadors as well, and have a communication campaign with them in the future where we're going to promote in our social medias to raise more awareness on this topic and promote sports integrity. Thank you.
Thank you so much, Christina. And you mentioned a very good point, both Special Olympics and you, that is the need to address sports integrity from a perspective that is very well understood to everyone. We usually speak about sports integrity at policy level and with very specific terminologies, and that's often not very inclusive towards young people that are more receptive to the concept. We understand all the underlining concepts between sports integrity, but we need to speak about them, how they connect with each other and how they can be addressed and tackled with. And that was precisely one of the objectives of the project, to speak in a clear and very youth-friendly way, so they can take advantage of this project, so they can be the drivers from a bottom-up approach. Linnea, your turn. How did you feel as a youth integrity ambassador? And tell us a little bit more about your activities. You recently developed a local activity very recently. So tell us a little bit more about that.
Yeah, so when I went to Lisbon for the training program, I didn't really know what to expect. But I thought, like in Sweden, we're very used to integrity and trying to bring the good values in sports. But when I got there, I realized, well, Special Olympics, it's not taught in Sweden. Like, this is a whole new concept for me. What is Special Olympics? And in Sweden, usually Paralympics and Special Olympics are the same thing. So you don't know which is which. So that was a real eye-opener for me to like, oh, this is two different things, and just to see the widths of the sport as in general. So I was a bit confused when I came to Lisbon, but I left so inspired and wanted to spread the word of youth integrity in Sweden. So during this time period, we were able to do 2 dissemination activities. One in June, when we were a part of the European Youth and Sports Platform, thanks to you guys that invited us. And also we had a mini training course 2 weeks ago in September at the local level for youth. So when we were a part of the European Youth and Sports Platform, we had a discussion about fair play. And also we had a part of the mini fair we had there when we had a game that was called Do You Know Your Flags? And it was about raising awareness about LGBTQI+, and also to make gender more spoken about. And I know we had participants all over Europe present, and I know we had one person that came up to me from Russia, and he was like, we don't get this knowledge at home. It's forbidden. Like, there's only female and male, the others are pushed away. And he thought it was a good example, like, this is something that needs to be spread at home for me as well. And during our mini training course, we had because when we left Portugal, we felt like we need to do something similar because we got so much knowledge and inspiration. So we collected 25 young people from Småland, our local region in Sweden, and we got a good diversity between sports and also between different places in our region, and talked about, well, how do you implement sports integrity for real? Just not talking about it, like, what do you do? How do you practice it in your daily lives in our sports? But I think during this period of time, my point of view changed a lot for the better. And now I'm a member of the Central Committee of Education in track and field, and I try to implement my knowledge and try to teach the others that are part of the committee, like we have to take the perspective of the youths into all the decisions being made for the future of track and field.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Linnea. Let me underline three very important aspects there. As you rightly mentioned, one of the activities that you implemented, it was at the European Youth and Sport Platform, the first flagship event of ENGSO Youth that brought together young people from different youth and sports organizations to discuss topics such as youth participation within sports. We're talking about effective and meaningful youth participation within sports. We talked about also digitalization in sports, and as well environmental sustainability in sports. And one of your activities talked about precisely one of the topics that is being pretty much talked at the policy level here in Brussels, and especially within the presidency, the Spanish presidency of the Council of the EU, which is gender equality, and is a topic that's very much upon the high topics here at the policy level, and it's being actually implemented by our youth integrity ambassadors. Lastly, I want to raise your awareness how the multiplying effect of this program is being projected into the local realities. So we had a European training course that equipped this wonderful group of ambassadors so they can actually have all the necessary skills to have this multiplying effect. Then they themselves are the ones that know their local realities. They know how to reach to other young people and how to speak with them as well. So they, better than anyone else, can know how to have a more impactful way of outreach and disseminate these topics of youth participation and also sports integrity. But now it's time for us as well, speakers, to also give the voice to everyone here in this room, and we want to implement one of the activities that we implemented in the training course in Lisbon, but also within the local activities. This is a game called Fair Play or Not, okay? And I'll leave the floor back to Linnea to explain us a little bit more on how this will work.
Okay. Let's see. There we go. So this is an activity we did during the training course, and I think it will be a good possibility for you to discuss and deepen your knowledge and thoughts about youth integrity. So we're going to have 4 cases that you're going to discuss in groups of 3. And for the ones watching online, I'm going to read so you also can follow along and write down your thoughts. So the first case we're going to discuss from sports is there's a running competition. The leading runner has secured a place at the European Championships. The second runner is a member of the same team. The first allows the second to win in order to get a place to participate in the European Championships. And the second one, a professional hockey competition is taking place. Your team has secured a place in the playoffs. You have one last match left to play, which depends on which opponent you will meet in the next round. If you lose the match, you will meet a better component that you think is better for your team. The coach asks you to lose the match. The third case, the Olympic Winter Games are taking place. A Portuguese biathlete skis breaks during the competition. He tries to continue participating, and his teammates are not around. The coach of the Lithuanian national team helps the athlete, gives him another ski. Other coaches watch and do nothing. The Portuguese athlete overtakes several Lithuanian athletes and appears better at the finish line. And the last case. A soccer match is underway and a player scores a goal. The referee thinks the goal was clean, but the player who scored the goal knows he was offside. In the next possession, the same player decides to score a goal into his own team's goal and ties the score. So what you're supposed to do now is discuss these 4 cases and think about, is this fair play or not?
Thank you so much, Linnea. So I guess the groups here around the room are more or less settled. We'll give you 5 to 10 minutes to discuss within your group what you think about these cases. Are there fair play? Are not fair play? Are there other variables that we need to take into consideration within these cases? And then we kindly ask you to come back in plenary, and we'll give the floor to each one of you to speak a little bit more about these cases and try to understand from your perspective if they are fair play or not. We'll let the timer count, so 5 to 10 minutes, you can discuss it now. 1 minute to wrap up your thoughts on the sport cases. 1 minute. Okay, and the time is up. Now I'll give the floor back to Linnea, that will has to each one of the groups the thoughts that and the discussions they had about every single sport case here presented. Linnea.
Okay. Yeah. Now we're back. So, you guys here, what did you think about the first case? Who wants to speak for you? Okay.
About the running competition, we think it's not fair play because he's cheating the competition to get more tickets for his country, which is not fair play because yeah, it's like cheating. And do we also need to do the other three?
No.
Oh, just the first.
Yeah. Okay. How about you two? What did you think?
We both decided it was no fair play because they were manipulating the results, and the fastest runner could also decide not to run the race. But even then, yeah, you can always decide not to run the race. But yeah, no, for us it was no fair play.
Okay, thank you. Do you two want to join in on the discussion?
Yeah, if you don't mind. Thank you. Yeah, I understand what they said, and at the beginning I thought being in the same team and is like playing as a team player. You're still giving a favoritism within the team for a teammate. So I didn't think it was so bad, but maybe listening, it was not exactly. It's not exactly fair play, but is. Okay, thank you. For me, it's not. It's okay. Like fair play within the team.
Yeah. Okay. If we could pass the mic to the team over here.
So yeah, about the first case, I will join Mr. Owen. We decided it was fair play because even though it's individual sport, there is also a team aspects. And personally, I will also like to link it with Formula One. There is also a lot of individualities, but also team sports in it, and it happens in real life. And so I would say it's fair because it's also good for the athletes if he goes to the European Championship to when the European Championship is on, to have a teammate with him and have some more support. And so also there is no precision if this play is undermining another runner. So if it is undermining another runner to qualify, it's not fair, I would say. But if it's not, I would say it's fair play.
Okay, thank you. And the last two.
Yes, well, second, third, and four were quite clear, but let's not go there. But this was a bit tricky. We didn't agree totally together, but because on the other hand, good for the team, as you said, but I was like thinking that always let the best to win. So a bit tricky question. Yeah.
Thank you. Yeah. Okay, we'll go back and we'll now start with the second question about the hockey competition, and you guys can start.
Okay then. that was very clear for us. It was not fair play. By accident, I witnessed Olympic Games in 2012 for the badminton doubles match, where the coach indeed forced the players to lose their game. There were 5,000 people sitting in the hall. They paid a lot of money and they saw not a game. So it's even totally not fair play, but it's not good for sports.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for giving a real example also that you experienced.
Yeah, we believe that it's not fair play because you actually need to play on the field fair. And it's also not fair, yeah, for spectators, not fair for another team. Yeah, that's our opinion.
Thank you so much.
I think there is a general consensus in this one, so yeah, same. Totally agree with the previous.
We also thought it was no fair play because there was also a manipulation of the results, and you should always try to do your best. So yeah, no fair play.
For us, we had a little division between amateur and professional, because in amateur you always play to get the best of yourself, because really personal, you want to play every game the best you can. But in professional, there's also a strategic benefit for it. You can play an easier opponent to get further into the tournaments, like football, for example. Sometimes they do it to get on the easier side of the bracket.
Okay, thank you. And now we'll move on to the third case about the Olympic Winter Games. And you get to start again.
Okay, it was about skiing and so on. Yeah. I will be very brief, but I want to give an example from my own sport. There was an Afghan refugee who worked with, that I trained for 5 years, and he was very talented in Chinese martial art and wushu. So on a certain level, he became Belgian championship. Really, it was fantastic. So we went to an open championship in Spain. And we went there and he came to me, "Hey, Shufu, I have a problem." I said, "What's your problem?" "I forgot my shoes home." I said, "Okay." I said, "That's no problem. You have 20 minutes to find one." And I went away. So after 20 minutes, he came with shoes and he won. But the guy who gave the shoes was in fact the number 2. You see, this is for me a very thing of fair play. So I would say this is really, for me, an example.
Okay, thank you.
We also thought it was fair play, but then, yeah, I was thinking a bit further, but it was not on the case, that if there is a connection between the Portuguese athlete and the coach from the other team in the form of financial remuneration because he is coaching him or stuff like that, then you can maybe have some questions about it. But in general, we felt it was like fair play. Yeah.
Okay, thank you. And thank you for making it a bit deeper as well.
Tricky as well, but I mean, I like the fact that an athlete should not be penalized too much by a ski that the breaks. So I thought that in that sense, if then he performed with not a weird doped ski, but a normal one, a correct one, and performed better, it was cool for him to have a chance to finish with the others and win. So for me, it is still fair play. I think it's very fair play.
Okay, thank you.
Yeah, we agree also that this is kind of a fair play gesture. But as I see, here's maybe another question that the other coaches watch and do nothing. But we think it's also fair. You're not forced to be fair. It's your own will of power to help or not to help, to choose between your team or teamwork, as in the first case, or fair play gesture. Yeah, and actually the athlete doesn't need 10 skis to compete further.
Okay, thank you. And the last group?
Yes, I'm from the Finnish Lottery from Finland. So we go to work and schools with ice bears. We ski around the year. We have a lot of snow and we have a lot of skis. So if any of our southern friends breaks his ski, we are happy to give one. So this is absolutely fair. Yeah.
May I also give one example again from my badminton sport and referring to shoes. 2016, I think there were 3 women single players who were able to qualify for the Olympics. A woman broke her shoes, she couldn't play. The opponent gave her her spare shoes, she played the game, and the opponent who gave the shoes lost. So she was not qualified, and the other qualified. But 2 weeks later, there was another tournament, and the woman who gave her shoes also qualified for the Olympics. So that was such a warm story.
Okay, thank you. And I would just like to wrap up, if it's okay, Thiago? Because these cases, when you discuss integrity and fair play, usually it's not that simple. You can say like, okay, this is fair play, this is not, because there's other components like rules, regulations, but also like your personal opinion about sportsmanship and how are you a good player in your sports. So thank you for being a part of this discussion.
And I think we could not wrap up in better terms than to have one of our integrity ambassadors to wrap up these discussions. And hopefully, because of lack of time, we being short on time, we cannot go into the discussion of the 4th case, but hopefully there will be time, and also back online at home, we can all speak together about the 4th case and other cases that might arise. Now I'll just give the floor to Paul back again, and for the final part of our event. Paul, please.
Thank you, Thiago. I would like to be joined by Alvise Angelini from the European Lotteries, because we too, I may say, we are the partners with Engzo Yacht in this great adventure here on the Integrity Ambassadors. So I think there's work to do. We heard this morning, and we are happy to join our network, our strength, to keep to the future and go forward in it. I give you the floor.
Thank you very much, Paul, and thank you everyone for being here today with us. It's been a pleasure to be part of this project and to continue being so. And a couple of words just to reflect upon myself. It was an important day in Italy. I'm Italian at the base. On the 20th of September, sport was added to our constitution. There was ended the legislative ether to adapt it, and the Article 33 now foresees sport activity as a value. So it's not yet a right, but it is a value in terms of its psychological and physical positive impact in everyone's life. So I believe this for say that there are different levels in which sport affects our lives. There is the high level of these policy discussions that were mentioned already earlier. A constitutional level is probably the highest it can get. So it is important, I believe, the sports, it is part of such discussions because it helps recognizing its value to bring the political and financial support sports needs. As everything, you know, there is a need for some financials and for political support even for sport. On the other side, I believe the project we have been doing together, it's of great value as well because it is the link between these more higher level of discussion of policy, more bigger words, and brings that back to the real life, to the day-to-day, to local communities where youth, more youth, less youth, plays their own sports and put it in practice. So integrity, it's an important battle to play to safeguard our sports, and I believe it is key to play it at both levels, so at the highest of the levels of policy and at the more down-to-earth, real-life levels. Said so, what I would like to mention, it is a commitment from our side as European lotteries to keep trying being relevant and facilitate such positive projects to happen, and being partnered with a great organization like Panathlon International and ENXO Youth, with whom we are super happy to collaborate. And looking at the next, so probably the 2024 and 2025 and on, an idea we discussed together with our partners was to try to put not only the financing, but even our networking, a network of lotteries. So we represent more or less 70 lotteries around Europe, not only European Union, even Morocco and greater Europe. And we would like to try to pick, maybe to start doing a bigger step, instead of one event as we had in Lisbon, to go next time maybe with 3 or 4 or 5 events happening in 5 different countries, in which our lotteries, national lotteries, are present and can then jump in supporting and make it possible for such events to happen. Enlarge this way the openness of the event, not only to 30 participants, but maybe going 30 multiplied per 4. And so taking our role in this multiplying effect that is in the core of such a project, and bringing it to a bigger level, larger level, and see how far we can go, bringing integrity closer to youth, to sportsmen, sportswomen, and whoever practice and enjoy sport. So this is what I wanted to bring here today, thanking you again for your time, interest, and commitments to our events. Thank you very much. Back to you, Paul.
Thank you, Alvise. Indeed, the network is important, and Panathlon is organized in Europe, in France, in Spain, in Switzerland, Austria also. So I think this is the way to go in the coming years, to collaborate with our partners, with our Panathlon friends in the different countries, to help to spread the message and to multiply these activities. So let's look forward to that, how we can organize this and how we can bring this to the floor in the different countries. Okay, it's time for me to wrap up and thank all of you for your presence, digital and live, and hope to see you very soon back in this same activity, maybe in another country than organized by another partner. But I think we have work to do to build integrity, and as Laura said it, integrity management is what we need to implement. But it starts with us. It starts with moving the first small step of change in these sports activities. Thank you very much, and I hope to see you at lunch. Bye.